quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's where we all begin. Welcome to Lazy Dog Typewriters. Howdy folks. Sometimes life just gives you a bunch of lemons. And sometimes when you get a bunch of lemons, the only thing you can do is knock them out of the way and change them for something better. In this case, a big sack of cuties on top of a typewriter that should always have Katrina and the Waves, I'm Walking on Sunshine, playing in the background whenever you use it. That is the Triumph Adler Tessy. So we'll open him up after I give you a quick look at her really lovely orange case. I'm almost more in love with the case than anything else about the typewriter. But it's just a really pretty, wonderful, I don't know, makes me happy in a sunny day kind of way typewriter. So let's take a look at it, and I think that's what the designers were shooting for. Interesting that this opens up, you pull these out. And we have our 1972 Triumph Adler Tessy. The Tessy, as you might see, is the little sister of the Triumph Adler Contessa, which we also happen to have an example of and to which we will make a comparison shortly. The Tessy is a lightweight derivative of the Adler Tippa, at least the Tippa 2. It has a plastic shell all around. There is a metal floor plate, if you will, and the back carriage is metal as well as the paper tray components. But primarily it's made of plastic. It is designed to be lightweight. It was in market for a pretty limited period of time in the early 70s, and pretty much, as near as I can tell, exclusive to the German market, which kind of makes sense because ours, of course, has a QWERTY Z instead of a QWERTY keyboard layout. Sometimes we'll call that the QWERTY Z, but QWERTY Z just kind of comes off my tongue a little more easily, so we'll go with that for now. But a QWERTY Z layout, and the same kind of light tan key set you often find with the Triumph Adler J2 and J4 and J5 machines. Some of the J5s have white, or at least they can be bleached, but these I think were intended and are intended to be a tan. They haven't faded, they were always this color. And then of course a dark, not exactly black, but maybe you could call it super dark gray example. Alright, so let's go ahead and look at some of the features, and that'll be kind of a short list because this machine, as I said, was entirely focused on the to-go market. I think of more as a German university student, someone who's on the go in the early 70s, and that's why we have our lightweight feature set. So let's get the carriage lock off, which is what I was struggling with over here. Pop that off and your carriage releases. Of course, you've got your carriage return arm. You have your paper tension lever right here, which will let your, this isn't paper tension, this is your freewheeling lever, which allows you to fill out forms. And you notice, well, what's going on back here? This is kind of interesting. I've got one margin tab, but where's the other one? Did it break off in shipping? Has it been gone? Well, no. That's because this machine has no right margin. And because it has no right margin, it has no line lock. And because it has no line lock and no right margin, it has no need for a bell. So it's kind of a slimmed down, say politely, Tippa, because the Tippa has all of those features. So what it does have is a pretty massive paper support. My goodness, it's like a stingray sticking up here, but pretty large. But I guess if you have some huge A4 paper, you can certainly use all of it. Continuing on in the carriage lever functionality, we have here on the right, that is our paper tension release, as you can see, and then our carriage release is here. And that's kind of interesting because on the Contessa, it itself has another different type of lever. I'll get this back into view. It has a push button, and we'll show that later, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why they're all different, three different kinds of ways, but I guess it's a simple way to do it. We've got our carriage knobs, and of course we only have the single carriage release lever over on that side, and you pull it towards you to release it, which kind of makes sense. It's a little awkward for me to lean over the camera, but it's all very intuitive on how to use it. So let's go ahead and hold this a little closer, and I'll take the cover off. Now this just pulls right up, and I want to be gentle with it because I don't want to break it after 40 years. But very standard, very happy orange. Let's look at that logo, Tessy. Hopefully that's in focus. There we go, Tessy. And just real pretty. And we come over and we have a standard carriage shift. We have the Den 2103 larger hole spindles for these. So just if you have one of these, you too imported it from Germany, you'll need to know that it uses these German standard ribbon spools. We have our auto reversing mechanism here, which is very interesting in terms of it's identical to ones I've seen, of course, on the Adler, and very similar to the Olympia. So it's an interesting mechanism, but you can manually reverse it here, and of course it snags on these forks and auto reverses your ribbon. So pretty straightforward, pretty standard. You've got a full keyboard on this machine, so you've got a dedicated 1 exclamation mark, and then of course we have the German key set. And if this is your first time looking at a German one, let's go over some of that. So we have this sort of S character, which is my understanding is illegal, I don't know, paragraph marking if you will. We've got a slant and a plus. We have a good old colon and then an umlaut, excuse me, not an umlaut, but an esset. And then we have a couple of accent marks. I don't remember what those are. This is a dead key. So what's a dead key? Well, if you push the dead key, it goes up and you notice that the carriage does not advance. So those accent marks are placed, I guess, either before or after you type a specific character, and then you hit, let's say an E, and then you hit that, and it places that on top of the E or whatever appropriate character is without moving the carriage, which is useful if your character needs that. We also have an U with an umlaut, an A with an umlaut, an O with an umlaut. Apostrophe way down here on the right, and a dash. The underline is up above the 8, so keep that in mind. And then, interestingly enough, actually my eyes are tired. This is where your apostrophe is, excuse me, your exclamation point. And up here, my tired eyes saw an exclamation point because they were expecting it there, but in fact it's a semicolon. So it's 1 and a semicolon way up here. So if you use this, and of course finally your question mark is down here. So when you're making a adaptation to a Quart Z machine, you got to be aware of some changes. And this is even different from some of the earlier, older German machines where you had Reichmark and Mark over the 3 pretty much, and various different locations of things. Sometimes they will have dollar signs over the 4 as you'd expect. But the only thing that really trips most people up with a Quart Z keyboard is the Y and the Z, of course. And it is entirely possible to resolder the slugs if you really wanted to. Pop the cap off, replace the Z or interchange the Y and the Z, and you have to come up here and you solder off this type slug, Y and the Z. Having soldered off an H and an E and 1 or 2 other consonants, I can tell you that I don't enjoy doing that because you need a special jig to line the things up. It's quite easy to get the solder out and the slug off, but it's very difficult to restore the soldered on slug with the level of precision that you need so that your letter is not, half line high, half line low, slightly crooked. It's really difficult, and you need a jig to do that. In any case, what's the purpose of this machine? On the go, quick typing, students, that sort of thing, and it's really designed to be colorful. And the Germans are kind of funny because a lot of times they have very drab colors in their clothing, and not to generalize too much, or at least they used to, but then they have really vibrant things as well. So in the 70s they were definitely part of that design ethic, and we had the Valentine coming out and some of the different tippas, and we'll roll in some footage of those too. Alright, here is our tippa, which also has a lovely case. I'm pretty sure these are interchangeable cases. In fact, we might just do that on the fly here in a second. But it has the same nifty pull to the side release mechanism, although mine only has 1 on this side. It could just be missing, but no, it doesn't. It only has a single one, so that's interesting. Single catch. And here we have a Triumph tippa. Now you'll notice something interesting about this one, perhaps. One, it is a Quart T with a Y machine, and another is it seems to be missing its red dot over here on the right side, and of course we know what that means. It means this is a script machine, so pretty happy about that. This is one of the earliest machines that I got when I first started collecting, and then you can see the controls are pretty much the same. You have 2 margin setting mechanisms, one on the right, one on the left, and of course that means you also have a bell. Let's make sure we've got a lock off. There we go. Push forward for our carriage release, and let's get the bell. There it is. Not the loudest ever, but it's there because you can set a margin, you have a line lock, all the things you might expect. It has the same plastic lid and the same plastic body, so pretty much confirmed what we said a minute ago, that the Tippa and the Tessy are sisters for sure, if not downright fraternal twins. And the Tippa is really well loved. I think the Ghost and Tippa is a little more well loved than these Tippas because they do have a little more of a fragile frame than the Ghosten ones, which are tanks made of metal. But nice typing touch and feel. I would expect it to be identical, and it pretty much is. And now that we've given this a once over, let's give a typing test and evaluation of the the Orange Tessy. Let's load up some paper in our typewriter. Paper bail, it's a little crooked, so we'll fix that. Square up the corners. Alright, let's get going. To do a little bit of a reach around, bear with me. Keep that in frame. A quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And I think I actually hopefully didn't miss the Z and the Y that time. Let's check it out. Always have to have a typo to prove I'm human. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Nice little pica typeface. And let's come on over here. We have a ribbon. And of course, I have a bicolor ribbon in this machine, but we'll never use it because it's a script machine. So it shouldn't necessarily be able to. Let's check it out. Paper tray on this guy is tangled up. There we go. Alright. So on our Tippa. Quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Okay. So one again typo just because I keep you on your toes. And you can see our script. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. The point there really was to compare if the touch was the same, and I can attest that they are identical. So it's the same machine under the hood. It's just that the Tessy over here on our left was designed for the German market only. One little telltale you can see indicative of that is on our US destined machine we have made in Western Germany on the right upper paper tray. And of course, our Tessy doesn't have anything because they expected it to stay in Germany. And of course, we have the backspace written out. We have a margin release, which of course we don't have on the Tessy, and lock is spelled out. So, and obviously the keyboard is an American standard keyboard. But other than that, it's just a Tippa with a gorgeous, happy Katrina and the Waves I'm Walking on Sunshine color, and that really is the main attraction in this, is the awesome color. So speaking of that, let's take a look at the big sister of the Tippa and the Tessy, and that is the Contessa. Hang on. Alright, you're not seeing double, but you have a Contessa in the front and her daughter or little sister, the Tessy, in the background, and we can take a look at it. So it's a little bit more substantial, almost, I'd say almost identical to, well, not identical, but a little bit smaller than the Adler J2 or J4 or J5, or what's a Gabriel 10, which are all kind of the same machine. But a lightweight plastic construction, again the same vibrant orange, happy colors. This is a QWERTY machine, this particular Contessa, so destined for the US. You can see your tabs are set manually on the back, which is a little interesting, right? Kind of a step back. I think that's another, economy saving measure perhaps. But you've got your tabs that are manually set. You have the same Gigantosaurus Stingray paper tray. Sorry if this color is changing as I move around, but hopefully it's not changing too much. It seems to be on the camera. In any case, just a larger version. So if you're in the market for a beautiful German-made orange typewriter, then here you go. A Tessy and the Contessa, and if you'll bear with me, I'll load up some more paper. Crooked, it's best. Straighten it up. Reach around, you guys, and give us another test. There you go. Over the lazy dog. I'm gonna give you a bunch of E's, and I'll tell you why. And hello. All right, let's take a look at that. So, as the typing touch, it's different from the Tippa and the Tessy to the Contessa. This is similar to, but perhaps not quite as good as the J2, J4, J5 variants. I think there was some economizing done. The type bars just seem a little less robust, I don't know, than the J2, J4 series, but still very nice. Better than many typewriters, we'll put it that way. This machine arrived, it had some shipping damage, so that might be something that happens to you if you get one, is it does have a more fragile frame. I went in and epoxied this, so that's pretty solid, but this one here, there's just a little bit too much damage. I couldn't get it to stay. In fact, it probably just broke off a minute ago when I opened it up. But it still keeps the machine together. It's just a cosmetic damage. It's just a little bummer when you have any kind of cracks in your plastic frame. And there's a tiniest little chip under the logo there. You can look at it at certain degrees. You might see it right there. But I love these typewriters. I am so happy to have them. And like I said, it's on a cloudy, rainy day and a cloudy, rainy spring of a cloudy, rainy 2020, metaphorically as well as literally. It's really nice to have something that brings you joy. And I hope that these typewriters, which we have kind of covered 3 of them, the Contessa, the Tessy, and the Tippa, will bring you joy and give you something to think about and something maybe fun to search for, to try to find, because you're going to have a challenging time finding a Tessy because they didn't import them into the US, so you're going to have to adventure into Germany and German eBay and the wild west that entails. And the Contessa you can find in Germany as well as a little bit here in the US as well with a QWERTY keyboard. And of course, good luck finding a Tippa in script. So, hope you've enjoyed this video and had a good time. The oven's going off, so it's time for us to move on. Take care.